Hello, I'm John Joe. Welcome to Line War. Today we have a battle between Back and Scornful. Exaltation, I believe you pronounce that. Scornful is down here as red, right in the bottom. He's starting just here with some energy to go with the city. There is places to expand to with energy and to hold in the ocean. Also, we have the Back guy up here. I expected him to actually cross the ocean a little bit to take one territory here and here. Maybe he thought the opponent might start on this island and it was just a safer bet not to, as he's probably going to have to transport by boat anyway. He's got a nice little concave area he's recognised with two navy yards there, which he can help defend in this area. Which will mean this area is mostly going to be under contest from both players. And it looks like they're both starting up fairly similar. We have 3 navy yards coming out from Back with a town and a infrastructure, or industry, sorry, which is fairly similar, but we've got some air units coming out from Scorn down here. Although fairly similar, it's going to be fairly interesting because I have never watched a replay from these two players, I don't think. I'm just going to put it in ×2 mode as I usually do. I almost forgot that I didn't do it because they started so quick. This is like the earliest we've had a match start in a long time. It's usually around 6 to 10 minutes it takes people to decide where to start. And we have a boat coming out. They're going to cross straight over this way, which is actually going to be good because I was expecting them to try and claim this area with the 3 energy wells in the line and having this area. I assume he's predicted the enemy's going to start up there, to be fair. They don't need to worry about grabbing energy on the ocean because they've got one here and one here, so they should be doing okay for the energy side of things. I was thinking, why isn't he sending a boat to energy, but he does have some there, even though I probably said it just before I was wondering that. The navy consists from Jackalbox of 2 cruisers and a destroyer, and it looks like that's how they're producing. This one's producing something different, maybe. No, it's just the way it's angled. So I think that's how they're going. Mostly cruisers with some destroyers. I can't see the composition of this person's army. It looks like, or navy, from what I can tell, a destroyer there. It looks like he is coming over here, like I was wondering earlier. As his units begin to get to the end of their line, he needs to just finish off this line here. But he's going to cross over to this area here, I think, first. With more territory, Box has waited a little longer before getting their transport boats, and it doesn't look like they plan on building any just yet. It seems like they're focused mostly on trying to get this into a city, and that's a good move considering they've got a large area of land, they've got a lot of eco on this island, and the first thing they've done is protect it, which is a pretty good move in my opinion. They're going for the energy wells. They're completely avoiding these territories for now, but they're going for the energy wells, and that's pretty much it. Let's have a quick look above ground again. It looks like both players are going to end up with about half the match each, half the map, and they're both going to have a decent amount of energy, and they're going to have 2 cities potentially each. So I think this is going to be a fairly equal side. It depends who gets this, and to be fair, Jacked is closer to that island. And it's definitely going for some ocean control. He's found Scorn over here. That transport boat is going to be lucky if they get out alive. And he's just trying to drop his troops off on the land as quick as possible. I'm not sure if that's going to make it. It probably will, actually. They're being a bit distracted by the other boats. They've got the infantry on the ground over there, which is good. And after Jacked defeats these infantry here, if they don't run away, they're probably going to think it's safe on this island and that he's not on there, but he does have other units over here. This transport boat is fleeing for his life. He's heard the report of one boat's going down, and he's like running away. He's like, I'm going to hide in the corner for the rest of the game. Now the interesting thing is, although they've gone for a good ocean control, to be fair, I didn't see a anti-air at first, but there is anti-air there now. And there's a sufficient amount of it, actually. He's literally switched from destroyers to mostly anti-air. And the focus has mostly been on economy. His city's nearly ready. And he's got 2 energy wells, but they're struggling for energy. He's just fixed it a little. I'm going to switch back to him to see his energy supply. It seems to be back in the positives, and they're getting more energy now. I can imagine Jacked is going to be really doing well on the eco side. We're going to check the eco now because that's it is just complete. So we got 698 from Jacked, and surprisingly, Scorn is actually doing better on economy. And they're about to get a trade route, to be fair, so that's going to be an interesting twist. I didn't even think about trade routes. I don't really think Jacked has a non-contested trade route. This one's pretty safe. You've got the choke point there for water, and it's going to be hard to destroy that trade route. But if Scorn can hold it, he's got another trade route here, which is going to really be boosting their economy. Even if Jack gets this island, if you account for the 2 trade routes he could potentially hold, it might actually outweigh the economy. At least keeping it balanced. The helicopters have been on the move. I can see that they've just disappeared. And they're coming down here somewhat. They just deleted that line, so they're just going to land there for now. And to be fair, Jacked has just dropped off a load of units onto this island. And Scorn is rushing in to defend in the forest. They're going to be trying to dig in there. I think he's just turned... No, he's keeping it on. I thought he just turned it off then because they just moved around. But as they're building it in the forest with both players having a boost on infantry, the infantry that are actually shooting are going to be the ones that get the best boost. Digging in that situation might have been a bit too late, to be fair. I think Jack's just earned himself an island because of that. These helicopters could come in around here and potentially assist, but it would be risky with the navy that's there. There's groups, 3 groups of anti-air. Just trying to dot around, see what else is going on. We've expanded over here. The trade route's set up, and already with 2 boats, 2 merchant ships there going. And now Jacked is building up the second city. We have 2 industry ready, and that's now being constructed. I think Jacked is a bit ahead when it comes to building the cities, but the trade route's got to be providing Scorn a good amount of eco as well. So we've got 800 there, 887, 792. So Scorn is better on economy, and that's really surprising me because he hasn't got a city yet. I think the problem with Scorn's position is that the city here is quite vulnerable to air or navy attacks. Jacked has just built another navy yard there. And pretty much has completely sorted out their energy issues. They've got more energy to expand to now, as well as having some of these filled up. Well, one of them filled up. They're now on the hunt, looking out for more targets. It seems he's probably worried that they've got some stuff here. He's just checking it out. And I think he's just spotted Scorn's blockade here. Which is lucky. He got those transports out just in time. I think Jack might think he's trapped him in there. And Scorn is going to push forward. He's not afraid of this fight. He's going to push in there. He's got loads of cruisers. And not very much else. So in a navy fight, I think Scorn's got a very good composition in this specific engagement, but it's not going to be very adaptable later on. And the helicopters are being called in as well to target the energy well. Wasn't even sure they could reach that, but they can. And because they're on a strike command, they're not going to target anything on the way. They're just going to hit that energy well. And with the amount he's got there, they might just destroy it straight away. So Scorn was able to turn the tides of war, literally the tides of the ocean, switching what I thought was a great composition of an army from Jacked. He pretty much just hard countered it with cruisers. And now with nothing else to play, he's only got his navy to rely on, and he's going to struggle here. We do have a nuke coming out, but I don't think that's going to help. Scorn really pushed in on his advantage there. And he's going to be taking out some of that production. While he's doing that, he's rebuilding his blockade over here. This is literally just a harassment force going out. He's targeting whatever they can find now, knowing that he probably just took out Jack's main force in the ocean. And now instead of the production, they're going to switch into the energy well, and you can see some other things going on. We've got transport boats right here. And we've got a nice little patrol going on. A bit less effective when it comes to the energy supply. Just a few units left. They could probably take this out if they just rushed in there. It would be risky, but might be worth it. You might need to go round now. I think he's just about hung on to that energy well. It's burning down. It's really crumbling, but it's survived. We do have some navy yards on this side now, with the choke point being here. He's going to have another energy well because of that as well. I think that was a good move to have some navy yards. He's got 4. He's gone all in on navy. And yeah, he's going to be able to produce a lot more units. Faster than Scorn, quite potentially. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 navy yards. And that's all I can see. I think he thinks that's quite a lot, which it is. But he's about to get invaded on land down in the south here. But I thought Jack would get to this island first, despite being so close to it. It looks like Scorn's taken over here. He's getting some factories going. He's got a lot of forces here that could probably take over some of these islands a little better. Spreading out across a bit more, but I think he's going for specific targets. I think he thinks Jack is on here, and I think he's just trying to target down any of those sort of situations. The helicopters are moving over to that expansion over in the east, and we have these guys moving in here, and Scorn's just realised he's taking a territory, setting up some buildings. He's not pushing too far on this, but the helicopters are going to move in, and they're going to shut that down pretty quickly, to be fair. The artillery defense, but having these structures, the helicopters might want to target those down. Maybe after hitting this group once, and then target the structures, then come back to the group. Navy over here is on the move, but with the helicopters around, that could be quite a good support there. Scorn has gone for a bit more of a diverse army here, Navy. And he's also setting up his artillery only on the coastline here to try and support in any engagements if he needs to retreat. And finally, Jack is on this island over here as well. He's going to be pushing across to the east. He is going to meet Scorn. Scorn's probably quite happy that he hasn't expanded up there because he was expecting him to be there. I certainly would have. And over here, the helicopters cleared up absolutely everything. The transport boats are once again on the move, getting their butts out of there, but some of them are confused. And the helicopters have left. They're coming over to this engagement. I suppose that would be more important. He's bringing his military unit, ground military on to this section. And some of them have been left behind. But they're still there. He's moving his units across here because of the way the shape is. And he's going to try and get a bit of an advantage on the first engagement there. Over in this section, Jack is just simply trying to control this land. And that was me earlier saying about spreading out as quick as you can and trying to collect all the territories as you go. Scorn has got a good advantage here because he didn't do that. So he got in on the action as quick as possible and shut down Jacked his sort of expansion here as quick as he could. Over in this area, the ships are moving, but as they are, the helicopters are trying to clear them out as best they can, leaving the Navy mostly intact, taking a lot of the hits, but the helicopters can't really expand the map as much. I would say your Navy is more important, and you'd rather sacrifice the other things. He hasn't noticed this. Can he even see that? That would be interesting to find out. Let's go number 2, turn off Fog of War, and check the views. Yes, he can see that. He just hasn't noticed it yet. Quite a large force is building up over here. It might be good if you could set up some Navy structures on this side of the choke point just to try and get in and move these units around. Helicopters are pushing through. Scorn is being very careful and attacking these units. It looks like Jack is focused elsewhere. He has a lot of going on all over the map, to be fair. And Scorn is taking this out mostly with artillery, leaving himself with most of the island. And if he controls this side, this choke point is going to be much harder. I think maybe, I don't think the artillery could get to this city, but it's possible maybe. I might be over exaggerating their range, but this barrack still has not been noticed till now, right this moment. Another structure goes down over here for Jacked. Got one structure left for him on this side, and the rest is going to be left for Scorn over here. The rocket has been fired, and it's going right into the middle of this navy. He's rushing out of there. He actually managed to save quite a few units from that. In doing so, you can see the formations coming out now. We've got one in the center, and these two are trying to flank there, which is forcing Scorn to retreat into the choke point, preventing that flank from actually pincering him. I suppose it's more of a pincer than a flank, but you get my point. Got sandbags going across the coastline here, and now Jacked is pushing in on Scorn through this section here. Trying to keep an eye on what else is going on. Scorn is struggling with energy use now. And what's Jacked like with that? Jacked has a lot more storage on energy. I can imagine that's going to black smoke if he carries on moving them that close. And if I saw black smoke, it might be wise to move in if you're Jacked. The lack of energy, you'd want to bring your units around to this side and try and push in on that section just there. It looks like he's trying to bring in some units here to just support the invasion on this side to see if he can hold it off. And up here, he's still actually managed to keep this factory alive. And there is very few units left coming out from Scorned over here. So, and I think he can still take that on pretty easily, but there is a rocket being built, another one being built just on the coastline. That's a dangerous position, but I think he just wants to get it as close to this choke point as possible, and that's where he wants to fire. And if he does manage to pull that off, he can move his ships in and pretty much take out anything that Scornful has. So if Scornful doesn't notice this, he might actually do it just from the land units he's got on this section here. Jacked seems to be a more offensive player. If he was playing a bit more defensively, it might be the air units. As you can see from Scornful, who's opted for air units, most of the times he's been invaded, he's been able to hold them off with the air units, having the helicopters just come in and take him out. We seem to have a push from the Navy coming out. We've got a nice little smiley face. I think that might be a bit too exaggerated of a smiley face in this situation. A couple of Navy units moving off to try and grab some territories as they're waiting. And if they do follow this path, they are going to spot these transport boats, which might be moving them up here soon. Got a lot of territory that could be being claimed over here for both teams. Bit of an engagement going on there. I think they were just trying to get in a good position, and as soon as one fled, they just decided to retreat. Now they're going to push in here. The helicopters have been called in. It looks like Scorn was expecting that and is hoping for a good outcome here. I assume he's waiting with this force for these units to come in, and we can push these guys in like this, which would sort of trap them in there. Especially with the helicopters being pushed in from here, but I don't think he's got many helis left. Just two that I can see. But Scorn has actually cleared out this area now, so his main location is safe. The rocket comes in just at the right moment. He's not going for the choke point. He was actually going for this large group of units on land here. He still managed to keep this factory alive. That's really shocked me. I thought that would go down ages ago. He's just got some more reinforcements coming in, and they've been filling in gaps as others die. The engagement down here continued. I didn't realise. But it looks like Scornful took some bad trades there and is having to retreat into this section here. He might have wanted to pull back a little more and let these guys fire in if they could, and bring some units around here. This is what he is doing. But a lot of these ships on both sides are damaged, so if he could get some good positions in. It looks like he's letting them go by. This could be just to bring him into the artillery, but if he does go for these, he could engage while some of his other units, the opponent's units, are distracted fighting the structures, kind of using the structures as a meat shield. If that is what his plan was, he's going to be advancing now. It looks like that's what he's doing, but I still don't think he's got enough forces to try and pull that off. I think he's going to lose some of his navy yards. Over here, there's been an engagement going on as units transport across, but they managed to... Scorn managed to take that out. The energy well is under fire now with the helicopters moving in. I didn't notice that, but you can see the crater of the rocket in the ocean as well. These Navy units are desperately trying to find just any way out of here. And it has been pressured out by two groups. The Navy has been split off into two. One to take out the structures, the others to try and chase down this Navy here. And they are hiding by this line of artillery, which is really good maneuvering for Scorn. Trying to stick around where the safest is, and there isn't much he can do about this over here, apart from maybe if he's got any helicopters lying around. Which I don't really think he does. Maybe in pieces. But otherwise, it's not all over for Scornful. He does have good control of the map when it comes to actual land masses. He does control quite a lot of it. We just have a quick look at it like this. Some of the key places that you'd want to keep hold of, he currently does own. The helicopters were brought in again. I think he should have brought them down here. These two are vulnerable. Though, to be fair, actually, they didn't really have any anti-air apart from their own current anti-airs on the cruisers. One helicopter does come down here and pretty much almost destroys that. This one area is slowly being moved in on just to get it in range. And over here we've got a good force of army coming in now. But I think there's just too many artillery and too much defense holding this ground here. He might need to invest more in ground units. He does have a lot of money. And he's, just as I say that, he spent it. I'm assuming where... He's got a rocket out. I didn't see that rocket, and that is a very dense building setup over there. I think Jack's just spotted this trade route and deemed it worth attacking, but he could have gone to the other side. There isn't any defenses there. Either way, he's going to be blocking off this trade route, stopping the merchant ships, and once they're stopped, the trade route is effectively null. At that point, the rocket's coming in now, and it's going straight for this rocket here. I think that was close enough to destroy it. It was. But we do have another rocket for Jack, which has now started producing. Pretty much at the same time the other rocket does, so Jax knows exactly where that is. I don't think Scornful knows of that rocket, so... No, he doesn't. So he thinks they're rocketless now. And the trade route over here has been stopped. Ah, that's where he spent his money. So he spent his money over here on some more Navy yards. And he's getting a new location for his Navy, which is unfortunate. He could have had a city here as well if he had paid back for more economy. And that would have been more devastating to lose it. But still, it would have given him more money throughout the game. I would like to have a quick check on who has the most money at this point. So we've got 1,400 from Scornful. And Jack has 1,100. So Jack is still behind, and yet still doing a really good job at controlling the map. He's not too worried about ground units. He spent most of his money on the Navy, and he's mostly been on the defense, being careful on the ground and being offensive in the ocean. And he is losing for that over here right now. He's got some helicopters out there taking out the cruisers just before the missile ships get in there, so those helicopters don't want to take off again. But I think that Jack pretty much has full ocean control at this point. We do have some Navy coming out here, which Jack does not know about. And we've got another factory coming out here. As you can see, the composition of this army that's been fighting over here has mostly been infantry. Some artillery have been gathering as they've been fighting the infantry only. But when it's mostly infantry and going in against defences for artillery, they're not really going to take that out anytime soon. In fact, they can pretty much hold off any amount of artillery, infantry, with artillery and defence. Scornful is under pressure on land on his main base now. Now that he's lost some of the areas over here, it's going to be a bit more difficult for him to keep control on this side of the field. And it's becoming a bit more problematic for him to keep control on this side as well. He's losing a lot of money just out of production, so there isn't going to be much opportunity for him. He does fire that rocket at the same time as losing it to a rocket, so now I think that Jacked is going to start pushing his units through with the advantage of that rocket. Willing to take the hit for that one, I think, to get the advantage and potentially conquer this island. I think Jacked pretty much had lower economy throughout this entire game. Despite going heavy in the eco at the early game, that trade route kept Scorn afloat and expanding across to multiple areas. It seemed like he had the most money, at least as income, throughout the majority of the game, and Jacked was still somewhat a little behind. And yet Jacked has still managed to pull it off. He even had that first engagement that went bad, but I think maybe Scorn was a bit too aggressive in the early game, losing a lot of his navy, but he did take out a good amount of production, so I'm not sure. Those helicopters coming in now, finally managing to get a difference on the battlefield here. Cleared out a lot from over here, but we've got quite a strong force coming in through this section. The defences here, although a bit worrisome with infantry against artillery, it would be good because you could use these helicopters to take out the army. At this point you want to take out this force that's going for your airfields. Because as the helicopters try and land in this zone here, they're going to be taken on by these. See, they're landing right next to the enemy's units. But they do get up pretty quick. I am surprised how that survived them, but with this line here, they've departed the defences here, which would be holding them off. And they are just acting as a meat shield, and the helicopters doing all the damage here, so they would be able to hold them off for long enough for those helicopters to do a lot of damage. Trying to make sure I don't miss anything else, but we've got some navy going around the coastlines, doing some check-in. I don't think Jax knows about this navy over here either. And Scorn is trying to defend his home, whilst also trying to threaten the enemy's home. Once you do get control over here, these helicopters, in my opinion, should pretty quickly try and be aggressive over here. Maybe take out the production, but I think the SAM is going to just come in too quick and the ground will take out those. You want to try and start taking out over here the energy wow and the production, and then once you've got control of the land, go for the city. But just as Scorn gains control over here, he's pushing back and the navy is coming in to try and help stop Scorn from progressing there. But as he does, this navy is being pulled in and they are rushing in, trying to get into the back of this navy to let him know that he's not going to allow him to just do that. It looks like Jacked is trying to set up a defence once again in this section so that his reinforcements can come in and hold that ground. Jacked was quick to respond to this. The navy's coming in and he has swarmed around. Scorn was a bit late on the response there, forming around, and a lot of these units going down to multiple firing lines there. We've got a nice curve coming out from Jacked there, and I think formation is going to do good, but we've got helicopters coming into the back. Doing what damage they can. They've taken out the anti-air first, and I think there's too many helicopters here for the SAM to actually take out. Well, I could be wrong. Got a few there still. I think most of this left over is cruisers, and I think Scorn got the better trade-off on that engagement. And slowly but surely, Scorn has taken back over control of the ocean. Let's have a look. Scorn did save his mainland as well whilst that was going on. The rockets coming in now to try and finish off that navy, and Scorn is fast on the action there, losing only one ship. That I saw anyway. But now Scorn has control over this island. Let's have a look how the map's going. I don't think much is actually changing with territory going, but both players seem to be hitting each other hard. How much production have both players got? We got 7 navy productions for Jacked and 4 for Scorn. And Scorn's doing okay for economy. Let's have a look at Jacked. Jacked's got a lot of economy left over for himself. So if left long enough, just simply with that, the navy is probably going to weigh into Jacked's favour. The rocket was taken out as well. I wasn't sure. I just thought I'd come check. The energy well's going to be under fire now. We've got quite a few missile ships here, though. I think they're going to be able to take them on. But I don't know if he's going to get it. I don't think he is. We've got some movement from the Navy in the south. He did take it out. Helicopters do a lot more damage than I thought. Those Navy's going to come down here and just scout out the area, I think. I think he's trying to draw attention to the right-hand side, making him bring his army back over to that side. Up in this section, the Navies are moving forward. He's got like a scout Navy ahead. I think he might be trying to lure him in with a smaller force so he can try and, you know, rush in and then maybe bring him around. That or I'm overthinking things like I usually do. But we do have a small force over here. I don't know if he's just forgotten about them. But now he's bringing them more closer together. I didn't notice that, but there is actually a trade route here. So that would have been really good if Jack could have controlled that. If he just controlled the top end of the islands, he'd have had two cities. There's helicopters harassing this location as well. We've got quite a few factories being built there, so whatever Scorn's planning, I think he's planning a larger invasion onto this island. And I think Scorn's a bit worried about that. The rocket's being sent off once again, and it's coming in over here, which is unfortunate. He was planning to use that for the commandos. One survives. I thought that was way too close for that to survive. Just trying to keep an eye on what's going on around the map. It looks like he's gathering a lot of his navy in one place, so I think he might be hoping to engage soon. He's just noticed his navy in the south. And I think he's just going to check out with those before he does anything with them. Helicopters are still engaging over here. And this city is relatively vulnerable to a helicopter attack. But I don't think he's got enough helis in the area anymore. Transport jets coming in. It's targeting that nuke silo. There isn't much health on it. It looks quite heavily damaged as it is. I think they've spotted it. They're trying to bring in any forces they can to save that. And protect the city afterwards. But that didn't take long at all. That was really heavily damaged there. Commandos are not worried about the city at all. They're going straight for the energy well. That is actually quite a good choice. Taking out that energy well and then going for it is probably his plan. But there is a lot of energy on this map. And I don't think either player is really all that short of it. Even Scornful does have quite a lot still. And it looks like after that attack, I think Jack wants to push in a little bit. He's just slowly testing the waters, so to speak. Oh, and those cruisers are coming in over here. If they see where those aircraft come from, he might just test it out here. Because those cruisers definitely can hit this and this here. And if they go around, they'll take out the industry and the town. I don't think he's spotted it quite yet, though. On the other hand, Jack has spotted this island over here, and he is going to go try and take it while he can. Commandos are coming in right into the back lines. And it looks like helicopters went for the kill on this energy well and were met by missiles. And there isn't much Jack can do about this one. He's got to bring in units on the ground, which he doesn't even have that much of. That was a good move by Scorn. He got right into the back of there. And safely as well. The missile ships were able to take down those transport boats. But the cruisers have yet to notice the airfield. I think they might end up revealing themselves by actually trying to defend it here. The commandos took out the energy well. They're going for the energy silo, which is going to really hurt Jack, to be fair, because that was a lot of energy in that. Luckily, it's not going to really negate the battlefield. I think he's now going to be trying to engage purely because he thinks he may have an energy advantage. At least that would be the best time to do so. When you feel like you've got the best one, you've just taken out quite a bit of energy of your opponent. And the commandos are walking straight into this. I think it would have been wise to have gone south. You know there's a lot of stuff over here. If you'd went south, you might have been able to take any of the eco structures out as well. I think he's just trying to focus on the navy that's over here, and the other energy well is something he's trying to target. Trying not to miss out on what goes on here. There's one cruiser just sat here doing not much. Falling to pieces. Looks like they may be facing off anytime soon. I'm just having a look around. Trying to keep my eye on the eastern section of the map. Oh, they might actually get the energy well here. There's two fairly healthy commandos taking it out, and it looks like they managed to somehow get in there. But slowly but surely, Jacked Back is losing out on the energy that they have due to the commando strikes being sent in. I think now he's feeling a lot more confident in the engagement here. He's going to move in on one side. I think he's also trying to slightly make some room. He might move these guys into this side. But he's shifting around in the formations there, trying to find the opening they need. And keep testing each other's weak points. And now Jacked has gone paranoid. He's doing a full circle of infantry around the energy wells, just to make sure that no commandos can get through without him knowing. This navy's coming into the other side now, trying to just take out any units they can. And they're doing some good damage. Either way, damaging the units. I'm pretty sure repairing units costs money. I'm not sure. I know repairing structures does, but when units start repairing, I don't know if that actually costs any extra maintenance. We've got the northern force moving in while the southern force is moving out. I'm not sure exactly what the plan is there. I think he might be pushing in a bit too far, and Scorn is probably going to take advantage of that, trying to cut in on some of the units there. And this is turning into one big engagement. I'm pretty sure Scorn got the advantage on this one, especially with the way he's setting up his lines quite nicely on the ends. Helicopters are being brought in from behind as well. This was kind of like a perfect trap there, I think. He's taken out quite a lot of the units on the front end of this line here. And if he's not careful, he's going to lose a lot of these navy units in this trap. Now he's going to bring in some units from the side, and he's not going to hold up on this. He's going to be pushing in pretty fast. And I think Scorn is just about to take over the ocean. Helicopters are also giving chase, and they're still like coming in the ground there. There's only one missile ship left. So we do have a good group coming in here, but the more he brings in from this section, the more vulnerable he becomes to those commando drops, or even helicopter attacks onto the energy well. This is quite an intense sea battle. I haven't seen quite a navy battle like this before. Trying to see if there's anything else going on around the map, because these guys have been pretty dominant at keeping up the attention. And I'm still not sure who's actually going to win this. There's been an hour and 20 minutes. We are on ×2 speed. Don't worry, you haven't been watching for an hour and 20 minutes. But we got another commando drop coming in here. They may actually be trying to go for this, but I think they've got enough infantry on the ground to handle that. We have another rocket coming out, but that's going to be a long time till that actually plays a part in this battle. We also have another area for eco here, which is going to be a bit difficult to hold. I wonder how much his economy is now. Let's have a quick look at the economy as the tides keep changing. We got 1,300 from Jacked back, and from Scornful 1,400. They're still pretty equal. They aren't too far off each other. The helicopters have moved in on the energy well, and the missile ships are going to move in fairly quickly and take that out. All of those helicopters went down, and even the one that pretty much didn't enter the battlefield is getting damaged. Just trying to check what's going on in the south. I don't see too much. Just forces holding off forces. Soon it's going to be really difficult because most of this navy is getting damaged every time they try and come out of here. By all the artillery that's on the front edge here on the coastline. So half of the reinforcements aren't really going to be engaging in this fight at full health. Jack Black is pushing in on one side, leaving the other side open a bit. But there is the artillery on this coastline that he's got to be careful of. And Scorn is aware of this, he's pushing in on there. Again, it'd probably be wise to just use orange lines here, not black lines, because they need to engage. The defense is good, but only when you're already safe. Commandos were just dropped in. I can see the aircraft flying around. I'm not sure where they were actually placed. Oh, right up in the north against this town here. And I think he's on his own on that island. Unless you've got some air units, you're going to struggle there. And the engagement's continuing down here. We've got some more reinforcements coming in. But I think we need to shorten these lines up a little, maybe push in from one side as you're fighting on the bottom here. Get your artillery to move in this way, and get your navy units to move in that way, and I think you would have been fine. We have a commando drops going for the city this time, and with most of the navy completely engaged and the infantry units moving around a bit more, they might actually get it. They go for two locations at the same time, which will make it a bit harder for them to actually take out the units, because some will stray off onto this one. That cruiser came out a bit funny then. There is not much of a navy left. There's only one cruiser in this. And the rest is mostly anti-air. The army of Scornful, or navy of Scornful, is mostly cruisers. Not only does he outnumber them, but he definitely has stronger ships as well. Sorry. So we've got more commandos. They're leaving the town alone, or the city. That surprises me that he doesn't focus down the city. I think he would have had a good chance taking that out at that point. But he is just really focusing on the production structures. And if I'm correct, Jack should be struggling on economy because of the amount of production he's got. You're partially fixing the problem for him, but there is the rocket, and he's just spotted that. He's just targeted it, and he's going to be bringing in more commandos to try and take out that rocket. Jack can fire that rocket whenever he wants, and I think it would be very wise to fire it right here, right now. I think it is complete. Scorned is in a very vulnerable spot for that rocket right now. There isn't much anti-air here. I think it would hit. He just needs to fire it. Even I'm kind of like on the edge right now. He's backed Scorn into a corner. He has a rocket. He's not firing it. Why are you not firing it? I would have taken out like, there we go. Now he's fired it. They're off. Is he going to get them here? The city goes down as well, which is unfortunate. He could save that. He takes down most of the land units here, but leaves most of the navy. You really wanted to take out the navy there. trying to hit at this point or something. Get the Navy as they're in the choke point there. To be fair, when they were here would have been perfect. Commandos are being brought in to try and stop that from happening again. Maybe this time in a more accurate location. But I don't think they're going to be able to take that out. I don't know how fragile those things are, but there's a lot of units to protect it. Just trying to see anything else that might be going on. It looks like they're setting up a defense over here. But a lot of their production's been switched off. Jack is trying to manage their economy to better use it in places they need. And they've got a lot of commandos on the ground. I don't think they plan to use them as airdrops or transports at the moment. The town up here was destroyed at some point, which I completely missed. But with that city gone, is Jack really low, or is he at 1,100? Whereas Scorn is now actually quite a lot higher. And Scorn seems to be working on his economy at the moment. Just trying to build up a larger economy there. And he's able to protect it with a back-end navy. This navy is kind of trapped. You go forward and you're going to end up with these guys. You'd probably be able to take them out, to be fair. Or pull out. And again, you could probably take it out, but you're going to take some losses. But he's safe here with the artillery that protects him. Just having a quick scout around. It looks like so is Jacked. He is coming into an engagement here without realising, I think. I think he was trying to go for this town just to check on it, and he's forgotten to keep an eye on it. And now he's just lost that scout party there. I can see white lines being drawn. It looks like commandos being dropped in on the end here, going for another navy yard there. Scorn is being very careful. He is doing really well. I think Jack caught him off guard with quite a few things at certain points in the game, and then so did Scorn for Jack. And they've just put each other in a very protective mode, and they're a bit afraid to engage. Jack is struggling a bit more now. He was aggressive at first, especially on that main island. They're building a nuke instead of air units. It was probably a wise choice when you're on the offensive in that situation. But he seems to slowly be losing what he currently has. The rocket's coming again from that side. And it looks like it's going to hit. It does hit that location he said. He's got 4 cruisers left in there, which is now not very good at all. The artillery are moving to better position themselves. And they will still be able to protect this choke point. With a rocket coming out from Scorn as well. I feel like this battle could go on forever. To be honest, I just keep going backwards and forwards. Partly because of the rockets. Snow has been trying to say, or at least he said it to me today, that he doesn't like the rockets. And I've seen a few people mention it about trying to remove them. And I like the rockets. I do think they just add that extra sort of element. It's not necessarily a new unit, but it's like just a new thing that it does or something. And it does provide a bit more strategy, as long as you don't do what I used to do and just nuke rush, because as funny as it wasn't really a viable strategy. But it does make some funny content, I think, every now and then. I just noticed that Jack now has 2 nuke silos. I'm not sure what his economy is, but I'm assuming he can't really fund them. If he is trying to produce those rockets, then this would be skewed because it's not actually producing them, and it would be a lot lower than it actually is. Which I'm guessing is what's happening because of how much money is coming in at a time. We seem to be back in this position where Jack has the majority of the ocean, but mostly because of choke points. And Scornful is going to be trying to build up their forces once again. for another swing at things. And depending on who goes where, and with what, and how the engagement ends up playing out, I'm still not sure who could win this. I feel like Scorn's going to, but mostly because of the economy. I think that if Jack plays it well and pushes Scorn back, because they don't know each other's economy, they could feel like the other person's had the upper hand the whole time, even though they've been the ones that have doubled the economy. Lime War's a bit funny like that. We've got some cruisers moving in over here. I think he's aware of the airfield and he's going to try and take that out. He might not have remembered last time or saw that it was the artillery that took out his cruisers before. He seems to be moving in a lot of his navy down here. He seems to have scouted out this place. I think he just wants to stop the trade route again. He's splitting his forces off into two and checking the area. He saw that the enemy's units were pulling in maybe, and he panicked a bit and brought his units back in there. We found a few units that have strayed away from the blue lines. And Jack is on it. He's taken them out, he's found them, and he's trapped them as they've done that. And at the same time, the rocket comes in. It's going for the silo. And it does take it out. It took out two structures there. Over here now, they're taking out the ground units just as they sort of come around this area. And they're just now pulling out. We seem to have some movements from commandos. They're coming in through this way. They're going to land right next to this industry here. They may be able to take it out. And if they go this way, there's not a lot of units there. So they could start shooting things as they leave. Make a blue line command and strike the key targets as you go, because they're going to be chased by these units here. But instead he's going for the navy yard. He's firing a rocket down towards this section. He's taken out just one of these structures. If he fired in the middle, maybe he would have got both. But he has heavily damaged them, and that will cost Jack quite a bit of money. And those commandos got killed before they could take out that structure there. I think Jack did really well to defend that location at this point. He's got cruisers doing their swirly thing. Just trying to patrol the area, giving him some vision in multiple locations. And I think at this point, Scorn's just relying on his rockets. He has the ability to wait and just use his rockets, fire them in. And he's trying to pressure Jack into either making a mistake or giving up, I guess. He hasn't like put these in a formation, which now Scorn is taking full advantage of. And he is pincering in there in sort of like a funnel here. And some of the units on the end here are getting a good engagement on it. Just retreats these guys and keeps these there. He could be able to hold it as these guys move forward. But instead he is fleeing, and in that fleeing, a lot of these units get caught in many firing lines, and they're going to go down really quickly. There we go. I think Scorned won that match, especially with the way that ended there with the engagement with the Navy units. He did really good control on that, and as you can see, Scorn had pretty much higher economy. Yeah, well, no, he had higher economy throughout the entire game. Even right at the beginning, he had a slightly higher economy. And somehow Jack managed to stay in for so long with that difference of economy. But yeah, it's mostly because Scornful lost more units than they were worth. But yeah, let me know what you thought of that battle. Thank you for watching. There are 2 videos on screen right now. Feel free to click on one, and I'll see you there.